Welcome back. Today we will be exploring for loops with arrays. So what exactly is an array? Arrays are structures within which data can be stored, similar kind of data. So that means you can store all integer values or string values, etc., but you can't have a mixture. If you want to visualize an array, you can think of it in terms of a horizontal bookshelf with compartments, an address, right? And the address would start with 0. So the first compartment would be 0, would have the address 0, the second compartment would have the address 1, and so on and so forth. Yeah, these addresses are called index values. And if you wanted to know how many items were within an array, then basically what you would need to do is you would use the length property of the array to find out the number of items within an array. So two important things to remember: the index value, which starts from 0 in Java, and if you want to find the number of items within an array, then you would use its length property. The array name .length would give you the number of items that are stored. And the other thing to remember is that if you wanted to access the data within a certain compartment of an array, then you could access that by putting in the name of the array and the index value. So suppose I wanted to find out what was stored at index value 0 for the array called colors. I would say colors, open the square brackets, put in the index value, which is 0, and close the square brackets. Now that would point to the color red at index 0 of the array. So this idea of a bookshelf and divided into compartments and having data stored in them, how could we put that in code? So let's assume that we want to create an array called colors, and within that we would like to store red, green, blue, and yellow, these values. Okay, so what you would do is to create an array, you would say colors, and then you would use the open and close square brackets. Now the open and closing square brackets indicate an array, and then we would initialize the array by assigning values that we want stored in there. So let's do this in code. So launch Sublime Text, and I'm also going to launch Finder and our terminal. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is save this file save as, and on the desktop I'm going to create a new folder, my arrays, and I'm going to call this file ArrayOfColours. .java. Very important to put that .java extension, otherwise it will not compile. Okay, so let's start off by saying public class ArrayOfColours, and in here we're going to start defining the body of the class by putting in those curly brackets. Then we are going to declare the main method, and within the main method we're going to declare our array. Now the array is going to show string values, so we say string, the name of the array is going to be colors, and we're going to put the square brackets, opening and closing square brackets. That indicates that we are creating an array, equals, and then we assign the values. This is the fastest way to create an array, okay, and assign values to it at the same time. So the first value is going to be red, then you put a comma, green, again put a comma, blue, and finally yellow. And at the end of the statement, you're going to put a semicolon. Then we move on to the next line. Okay, now what we want to do is define the for statement, which will basically loop through the array and extract the values from index value 0 of the array all the way to the last item in the array. Okay, so start your for statement, open the bracket. Where would we like, we need to initialize a variable. So because we want to access the first compartment of the array, which is the index value 0, we'll initialize the variable x as 0, semicolon. The next part, what we want to do is define the condition. How long do we want the array to keep on running? So we want the array to keep on running as long as there are items within the array, so up to the last item. And how many items do we have in this array? If you recollect, just a few moments back, we said that you can find that by using the length property of the array. So in this case, we have 4 items in the array. So as long as the value of x is less than 4, then we want the loop to carry on running, because the last item, yellow, is going to be at index value 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, so we say x is less than name of your array, colors, dot length. Okay, okay. And finally, what should happen to the variable x every time it loops? So we say x plus plus. Then we define the for body. So put in the curly brackets, and in there we say system.out.println, because we want to output the statement. We would like to say the array colors at index. So that's a string value. In here we type, we want to print out a for statement which will basically read the array colors at index so and so, stores the color value red, green, whatever it may be. Okay, the first part, the array colors at index and then we would put a space after that x and put a plus sign, which is the concatenation character, and x, because that would represent value stored in x. So this would read out the array colors at index 0. Then we want to say stores the color. So again, space and the concatenation character, and then space again and quotation marks. So we're going to put in a string value again. So we type in stores the color, leave a space, and again the plus sign. So we want to say stores the value, and here we want to show the various values that are stored within the various compartments of the array starting from 0. So every time the for statement loops, it will look up the index value 0 of the array colors, then 1, then 2, etc. and it will output whatever value is stored in there. Okay, so we put in colors, open and close the square bracket, and in there we put in the variable x. Okay, and you put a semicolon at the very end of your statement, so that's fine. And then we save this file. So the next thing we want to do is go into our terminal, and in there we want to say cd and change into the directory where the Java file is located, which is my arrays. So you drag and drop that, or type the path, full path yourself, that's okay. And now we are within that directory. So in the terminal window, we are going to compile our Java file. So we say javac, and then the name of the file, which is ArrayOfColours. .java. Press enter. Now please remember that Java is case sensitive, so if you have array in capital and you put in a lowercase, that's going to generate errors. Okay, now the compiler has finished its job and hasn't flagged any errors, so let's do a ls, and now you can see that we have an original .java file, and the compiler has generated the .class file, which we can also find within our folder. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is run this. So we say Java and give it the name of the class file, which is ArrayOfColours. And there it outputs the values in various compartments of the array. Now you will see it says the array colors at index 0, and there's no space between the numeric value and the text value. So what we can do is we can simply go down to our file, and before the S, leave a space there, and again file save, and then we compile it again, and then we run it, and this time you can see it reads correctly. This basically shows you how you can create an array, store values in it, and then run a for loop to output the values. So till we meet again, goodbye.